Howdy guys, it's Millipedal, and today I'm going to be discussing the structure of the Underworldly universe, what alliances there are, and the basic storytelling elements and locations in each area. Now, before we start, Underworldly is a world building project that I've been working on with my partner Pepper since 2015. If that's something you'd take interest in, I'm currently in the process of constructing a wiki, and I also have posts about the series on my Instagram and my newly created Twitter, all of which is linked in the description. And with that, on to the video. The structure of the universe consists of three main parts: the overworld, or surface, the underworld, and the heaven construct. Although the names suggest a sort of tiered structure, that isn't the case. The over and underworlds exist in different dimensions, but on the same plane of existence, meaning the geography of the overworld Earth and the underworld Earth are virtually identical. The main difference being the destruction that humans have done to their land. This closeness also makes travel between the two dimensions fairly easy. Using something like a summoning circle or an incantation or a reaper's scythe, portals can easily be ripped in the fabric of reality. On the other hand, heaven exists on a separate plane and is only accessible to those who are multidimensional, such as angels or beings which have transcended physical form like souls. With the basics out of the way, let's explore these three locations. Good old boring Earth. Nothing interesting here. No, really, there's nothing here. The overworld is the home dimension of humans and all our usual critters. Humans are completely unaware of the other dimensions, most of them at least. This dimension harbors no magic, and it was created purely for entertainment purposes for this world's slightly malevolent god. A sort of ongoing sitcom, if you will. Most of our cast lives here in an unspecified area of the American Southeast, and the non humans living on the surface use a clever method of cloaking that we'll get into in a different video. Our main area of note here is Clark Industries, owned and operated by everyone's favorite capitalist, Thomas Clark, and his wife, Jay. Clark Industries prides itself on a number of things, including energy production, tech manufacturing, and a secret underground lab where a number of unethical and illegal experiments take place. Oh, was I not supposed to say that last part? Oh well. The labs are below the main corporate building of Clark Industries and its adjacent power plant. Many of our cast members are employed here, some of which you'll see are actually underworld beings, as well as Abigail and crew, our resident experiments gone wrong. Clark Industries has secretly allied itself with some underworld entities such as the UCSCH and some lower departments of heaven, both of which we will discuss later. These alliances are mostly for research efforts and resource trading between dimensions, as well as protection of any underworld inhabitants who may be living on the surface. The other looming entity of the overworld is, of course, the government. They are aware of the underworld and that there are non humans living on the surface. This they have no issue with. Their mission is to find and document any underworldlings, making sure they do not make themselves known to the general population. Our cast, however, is the largest group of underworldlings they've ever found, and the very first instance of human underworld crossbreeding ever documented. This, of course, led them to pry and discover that our very own Thomas and Jay were tangled into this group. Their suspicions of the company now warranted, they've shifted their focus more to exposing the strange goings on within Clark Industries using their own secret weapon. This is where things get interesting. The underworld was created as an accidental byproduct of the overworld, but was quickly utilized as a holding area of sorts for wayward souls, as well as a screening area for potential afterlives, reaper recruiting, and a fun place where God to store her more experimental animal concepts. Unlike the overworld, there are many dominant species here, including slimes, demons, lamias, harpies, fauns, tars, and many others. They have more of a trade based economy alongside their usual currency, very reminiscent of early overworld societies. The underworld hosts a much more robust ecosystem, teeming with magic, thousands of miles of untamed wilderness, mythical and dangerous creatures, unique biomes, and of course, cities, few and far between. As you can see, this is our main region, where most of the story takes place. The wooded mountains and the lava fields to the west, a small town in the deep woods to the north, foggy mountains and cave systems to the east, more deep woods and enchanted forests to the south. And of course, the main city and its heaven port in the center. You'll notice some more areas of significance located around the map, which I'll go into detail on. Here in the wooded mountains is Jack's home. As a keeper, his job is to train and direct newly recruited reapers on soul collection and missions within the underworld itself. If a Reaper completes their initial contract with a Keeper, they can choose to extend their servitude or transfer to a semi-freelance position, taking lists of souls from the common area and meeting a daily quota. After the first year of their contract, most Reapers will choose to live within the city, due to its close proximity to the Heavenport along with usual civilized comforts they enjoyed during their living years. There are many shops and restaurants here, along with museums and rehabilitation centers for injured wildlife, all backed by the UCSCH, an organization created by slimes to research and help the many other sentient and feral species living alongside them. As these reapers age and become more accustomed to the underworld, however, most will go on to live more like an underworldling, either nomadically, traveling and spending their days off hiking and exploring, or they'll choose to reside somewhere more permanently, albeit more rural, despite the risks associated with it. To the north is Succubus Town. Here you can find some more interesting services, as well as more magic related shops. As the name implies, this is where most succubi choose to live, keeping their activities mostly to themselves. Past the town is the Great Gate. The woods beyond harbor more dangerous wildlife, including ancient druids and wendigos, as well as a more ancient and rich source of magic. Many keepers will send their reapers on missions here to gather resources for trade. Anyone else who wants to travel here is strongly advised otherwise by the gate's guardians. Heading east, we reach the Foggy Mountains, home of the Fog Lady. She rarely shows herself to travelers, choosing to keep her distance and only helping those she deems, in her own words, chill. Higher in the mountains, hidden in the fog, is the Harpy Kingdom, a society of archers and thieves. Most choose to avoid this area unless they know a Harpy personally and only ever come in when escorted. This mountain range also hosts an extensive cave system. The winding tunnels are home to rock runners who feed on the magic emitted from valuable crystal formations deeper down. These caves actually span across the map here to the other side of the wooded mountains all the way to the lava fields. This has led to a new species of rock runner emerging in the past couple hundred years. Due to the lava field's rocky nature, they have begun exiting the caves, evolving to a much more aggressive and raptor-like being deemed igneous rock runners. Much deeper in the caves and closer to the central city is a civilization of sentient rock people known as Runites. These are one of the oldest species in the underworld, forming along with the land itself and imbued with the ancient early magic. Very reclusive and hostile to outsiders, they never come to the surface. The only exception being a single shop in most major cities where they will trade their excavated resources for surface materials. Finally, down here is the southern deep woods. Past the pools, a flourishing and semi-tropical enchanted forest can be found. Known for its more docile creatures and abundant resources, this, along with the pools, is a more popular place for species of all kinds to relax and explore. Deeper within the woods is a special grotto, housing a wellspring of enchanted water. This is also the dwelling of Diane, a forest witch who prides herself on her potions and herbs. She is well known among traders for her knowledge and wealth of supplies. Finally, we reach the Heaven Construct. Heaven ports are located within major cities and serve as entrances to the greater Heaven Construct. Only Reapers, as well as their keepers, are allowed within the ports, which are manned by worker angels and guardians. Reapers are required to bring their harvested souls here, where a worker angel will assess their life and determine the appropriate afterlife, usually tailored to that person's specific beliefs, be that reincarnation, heaven, hell, or simply non existence. Any number of things, really. Redeemable souls also have the option of going through rehabilitation to reach the quota for their preferred afterlife. During screening, it can also be determined that a soul may qualify for Reaper status, usually indicated by a traumatic life, early or disastrous death, or simply through interest in the program, though knowledge and thus interest of the program before death is quite rare. It should also be mentioned that any children bared by the Reaper are indentured to at least 1 month of servitude should their parent become unavailable at any point. They also automatically qualify for Reaper status at death, or if they choose, during life. We'll go more into that in another video. Once a soul has been assessed, they will be led by a service angel to their preferred or deserved afterlife. Behind the scenes, millions of angels are working 24/7 to document living souls' actions, fulfill and construct requests from souls, send out lists of soon to be deceased, and generally just keep the whole thing running smoothly. Construct angels operate in a sort of hive mind nature, working wordlessly in groups to complete their tasks. Of course, that's the more palatable side of things. On the other hand, in hell, there are no angels, only the worst of the worst. The unredeemable are sent here. It's a desolate dimension harboring untapped and unstable magic where only the most horrific beasts reside. Thousands of miles of treacherous lands, created by nothing more than the chaotic will of the universe. Here is the only place in which a soul can reach its second death. If one is killed here, they're gone. In very, very rare cases, if a living human is transported here, most likely via some gross negligence, they will absorb some of the raw magic and become cursed. If they're retrieved from hell, they are deemed unreturnable to the overworld and will be contracted to a keeper, seeing as the side effects of raw magic are fairly similar to the powers enjoyed by Reapers. Okay, that was a pretty basic showing of all the areas and a little bit of the lore in the series. Obviously, I left a lot of open ends and breadcrumbs in there for you guys to find that I'll talk about in some other videos. Leave a comment below if you guys want me to expand on anything in particular, be that a species or an underworld biome or more about Reapers or the Heaven system. As I said at the start, all my links as well as the wiki are below. I want to thank Sid and Stars as well as my partner Pepper for their help on this video, and you can check them out down below as well. Please consider liking and subscribing if you want to see more content like this, and feel free to check out my short animations on my channel, and thank you guys for watching!